Chicano Park, located in Logan Heights, San Diego, California, it is now home to over 80 murals. The murals are painted on the pillars of the San Diego, Colorado Bridge, the pillars of the 5 freeway, the side of the on-ramps, and the surrounding walls. The location of the park and the murals may seem out of place to non-locals, but the story behind Chicano Park is of a community coming together to defend a place they call their own. Logan Heights, Logan Barrio, was an area of primarily Hispanic population. The Depression in the 1920s sent many Mexicans to Mexico, but World War II brought many Mexicans back through the Bracero program. San Diego wanted to expand their industrial production and chose Barrio Logan as the location. The construction of junkyards and the freeway pushed people in El Barrio out, and it divided the community. The community had long been excluded from the decisions made in their neighborhoods, but they had been promised a park for a long time. It was seen as a small compensation for the loss of homes and the decrease of aesthetics in El Barrio. The park and location had been approved by 1969, but nothing was being done. A year later, Mario Solis noticed that bulldozers had entered the location and were going to begin building a California Highway Patrol station. He ran from door to door, letting the neighborhood know of what was going on. The community gathered, men, women, and children, around the site and protested for 12 days while they negotiated with the city. The idea of paintings was almost immediate, and unplanned paintings did begin in 1970, but it was not till 3 years later, in 1973, when Guillermo Aranda, Yolanda Lopez, Victor Ochoa, and groups such as Toltecas en Aztlán and Congreso de Artistas Chicanos en Aztlán began painting the murals that are recognized today. The awakening of the Chicano movement began in the 1960s, and Chicanx artists began making political images that spoke out against oppression and spoke of their history. Historical mural Toltecas en Aztlán was painted as a memoir of role models and leaders to Chicanos, as well as a visual history lesson that was not being told in their school books. The original mural included a sky of portraits that included leaders of the Mexican War for Independence and the Mexican Revolution. These included Miguel Hidalgo, Venustiano Carranza, José María Morelos, Zapata, and Pancho Villa. It also included important figures of the Chicano movement like Rubén Salazar, Ricardo Chávez Ortiz, and Che Guevara. César Chávez, who was arguably the face of the Chicano movement at the time, is the largest portrait and is in the middle. Picasso, José Clemente Orozco, and David Siqueiros were also included for their roles in modern contemporary art. The bottom left of the mural depicts skeletons wearing typical conquistador helmets and one wearing a San Diego PD hat. The skeletons are up in flames with a jaguar in the midst baring its teeth. This section represents the end of the oppressor against Mexicans at the hands of an Aztec deity. The mural has more representation of Mexican indigenous heritage that include a pyramid, indigenous men wearing headdresses, and an Olmec colossal head. Large sections of the mural show imagery of the collective struggle of Mexicans and Chicanos. These include images of a can of Coors and a Gallo wine bottle that represent the boycotts of the alcohol industry that exploit Hispanic workers. The United Farm Workers flag and the Huelga bird are seen throughout the mural and more concentrated near imagery of fields with protesters in front of them. The protesters are also seen holding a Huelga flag. The 2 women soldiers from the Mexican Revolution also represent past struggles. There are sections that also represent the culture of Chicanos, which include lowriders, La Virgen de Guadalupe, and the brown beret, riding a horse and holding the flag of Aztlán. Most importantly, a badge that says La Logan CS to commemorate the neighborhood that fought for the park. The historical mural was renovated in 1988, which included brighter composition and added more historical figures such as Frida, Diego Rivera, Corky Gonzalez, and Fidel Castro, but removed Santana. They also added a mother nursing a child. The earlier version lacked individual women historical figures, and though Frida was included in the renovation, it is still evident that in Hispanic culture, men are overly represented as leaders or heroes, and women are represented as domestic caregivers. The most recent renovation was done in 2016, and the painters included some of the original artists. The mural is more vibrant in color, and in a way, it is more pleasing to the eyes since it is more sectioned off and not as crowded, but it still holds true to the original mural. The historical figures are still there, but include small banners with their names. The new portraits now include Dolores Huerta, who was just as important as Cesar Chavez in the Chicano movement and should have been included in the first mural. It also includes Chunky Sanchez, one of the founders of Chicano Park. I also like the new banner on the horse that says La Lucha Continua. Other additions include more representation of Chicano indigenous history, such as the Aztec calendar. Chicano Park is an example of the intersection of art and activism because it is filled with murals of different artists that portrayed important images of the Chicano movement and simultaneously sprung from the activism of a community to take a piece of land and call it their own. Chicano artists looked to the Mexican mural movement and found examples of the knowledge, technique, and concept and style needed to produce significant public artwork. The rich artistic history in Mexico served as an inspiration for Chicano culture reclamation. Just as Mexican mural renaissance was part of Mexico developing a new culture, Chicano muralism also played a similar role, and it is represented well in historical mural Toltecas and Aztlan. Throughout the years, historical mural Toltecas and Aztlan may have changed, but with contribution of original artists and the community, it still represents Chicano culture, its struggle, and it is as vibrant visually as it is historically.
In San Diego, where my people